I grew up hearing stories about the hide behind. You probably did too. The thing that lives in the woods, always just out of sight. It hides when you look, follows when you turn your back. People used to say it snatched loggers, hikers, hunters. Always from behind. Always without a sound. It was just a campfire story to me. Until 2 weeks ago. I was clearing some old trails behind my grandfather's property in northern Maine. He died last fall, left the land to me, a patch of dense, silent forest nobody in the family really wanted. I figured I could clean it up, maybe sell it to some off-grid survival type. The woods felt wrong almost immediately. It wasn't just the quiet, it was a layered silence, like every sound was being swallowed before it could reach me. The crack of a branch under my boot barely echoed. Even the wind felt muted, like it was holding its breath. About an hour in, I started noticing little things. Tools I knew I put down would vanish if I turned away for even a second. The little trail markers I tied to the trees with bright orange tape kept disappearing behind me, and sometimes only when I wasn't looking directly. I'd feel something slip from tree to tree. Fast, silent. Always in my peripheral vision. I thought I was just being paranoid. And then I found the shack. It wasn't on any map. Just a small structure of rotting wood tucked into a grove of black pines. No windows, no chimney. The door barely hanging on the hinges. I should have turned back. But the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and not from fear. It felt like a dare. Like something wanted me to come closer. Inside was a single room, dirt floor, collapsed roof, and a pile of bones in the center. Some human, some not. All broken and twisted like they'd been bent backwards before death. There were carvings on the walls, hundreds of them, rough shapes gouged deep into the wood with something sharp. Not words, not pictures, just eye shapes, staring, crowded together until the walls looked like skin covered in bulging tumors. And that's when I heard it. The breathing. Shallow, ragged, right behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Something in my gut screamed that if I turned around, if I acknowledged it would be real. So I stepped backward, slowly. One foot, then the other. Out the door, into the clearing. The breathing followed, closer. I could feel a long, cold exhale brushing the back of my neck. I ran. Branches clawed at my clothes. The underbrush grabbed at my boots, but I didn't stop until I saw the rusted frame of my truck between the trees. The breathing never stopped. I slammed the door, locked it, and peeled out onto the rutted trail. Didn't look back once. But here's the thing. I know it followed me home. At first, it was just the little things. Again. Footsteps in the hallway at night when I was alone. Cabinet doors left open after I swore I closed them. Reflections in the TV screen when it was off. Shapes moving in the background. Last night, though, I saw it. Not fully. Not straight on. I was brushing my teeth, leaned down to spit in the sink, and when I looked up, there was something crouched just behind my left shoulder. Long, jointed limbs. No face, just skin pulled tight over where a face should have been. And the worst part? It wasn't hiding. It was waiting. I didn't sleep after that. I sat up in bed, every light in the house on, trying to convince myself it was a trick of the mirror, a hallucination, anything but what I knew it was. But sometime around 3 a.m., I started noticing distortions. First it was the walls. They seemed too far away. Like the room was stretching when I wasn't looking, the corners retreating into the shadows that shouldn't exist. And then the sounds started. I'd hear the front door creak open, the soft pad of footsteps on the hardwood. I'd rush to check. Nothing. I'd swear I heard the shower turn on by itself, and I'd fling the curtain back, dry. At some point, I stopped trusting my own eyes. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of my own reflection in a window, and it wouldn't move in sync with me. It would lag behind by a second, like it was deciding whether to follow. Other times I'd catch a glimpse of something crouched inside the walls, pressing against the drywall like it was made of wet paper, skin stretching taut, fingers too long and too many joints bending the wrong way. Always just for a blink. Always gone when I turned my full attention to it. The worst part was the sound, though. That breathing. It was getting bolder. Not just behind me anymore. Above me, below, inside the vents, the closet, the crawl space under the house. A low, wet rasp. Like something trying to learn how to breathe human air. By the 5th day, reality just stopped making sense. I'd walk into the kitchen to find all the drawers pulled out, contents dumped on the floor, only to blink and see everything back in place. I'd reach for my phone and feel the cold, clammy touch of something else wrap around my fingers before vanishing. Voices whispered my name from inside the walls, getting the pronunciation wrong, twisting it like it was tasting the sound. And still, the breathing. Always the breathing. I stopped leaving the house. I stopped answering texts, calls, emails. People think I'm sick, depressed, crazy. Maybe I am. But I know the truth. The hide-behind isn't just a creature. It's a parasite. It doesn't just hide. It hollows you out from the inside, bends your senses, warps your reality, until you're not sure what's real anymore. until you're so fractured you don't even try to fight back. And then it steps in. It wears you like a puppet. You become the next reflection lagging behind, the next whisper in the walls, the next breathing in the dark. I think that's why the old stories never really explained what happens to the victims. Because once it takes you, you're not missing. You're just something else. I knew I couldn't survive like this. I didn't even feel fully human anymore, more like a puppet on broken strings, twitching through a life that wasn't mine. So, I made a plan. If it was tied to the house, to the shack, to the woods, the walls, maybe I could sever it. Maybe I could burn it out. I soaked the place in gasoline. Every room, every inch of sagging floorboards, rotting drywall, stained carpets. The canister was almost empty when I paused at the front door, lighter trembling in my hand. The breathing was so loud now. It wasn't even pretending anymore. It filled the air like a second heartbeat. I flicked the lighter. The flame danced, tiny and weak against the heavy dark pressing in. I could feel it behind me. Close enough that the air grew wet and cold against the back of my neck. But I didn't turn around. I just dropped the lighter. The fire caught fast. It raced up the walls in a living, howling bloom. Smoke filled my lungs, my eyes, but I forced myself through it, stumbling outside into the cold night. I didn't look back until I was halfway down the overgrown drive. The house was an inferno. Roof collapsing inwards, windows bursting one by one. The trees around it caught too, sparks spiraling up into the black sky. For a moment, just a moment, I thought I saw something in the flames. Not one thing. Not one thing. Many. Shapes squirming just beneath the surface of the fire, writhing against each other like worms in a corpse. Some tall, some bent, some crawling. All of them wrong. All of them watching me. I didn't stop running until I hit asphalt. I spent the night in my truck, parked at the edge of town under a streetlight that buzzed and flickered like it was struggling to stay alive. And for a while, I thought maybe it worked. Maybe I burned it out. Maybe I was free. But now I'm not so sure. When I close my eyes, I can still hear it. The breathing. Not behind me anymore. All around. The light in my truck flickers more than it stays steady. Sometimes in the brief moments of darkness between blinks, I catch glimpses. Something hunched just outside the window, or pressed against the glass, or crouched on the ceiling above me. Always gone when the light comes back. Always a little closer. I think burning the house didn't destroy it. I think it set it free. And it's not just me anymore. If you're hearing this, if you feel the hairs on your arms stand up, if you hear breathing where there shouldn't be any, if you think, even for a second, that something just moved in the corner of your eye, don't turn around. Don't look. It's already there. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. A quick shout out to my patrons, Old Penguin, Rinku Star, Melissa Perez, Icy Narrates, Seven Cities Journalist, Cupcake Hips, Eric Cifuentes, Alonso, Austin My Love, Ellie Hutmeyer, Jesse Hartley, Lawrence Wallen, Mr. Sankofa, and William Hartley. I always try to link a different charity in the description, so go ahead and check that out. I'm also going to start having more things on my Patreon soon, so keep your eyes peeled. And as always, I'd love to know how I can be praying for you, so go ahead and drop a comment and let me know how I can do that. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.